Black girls like you always shoplift. Always. Officer Derek Collins ripped the shopping bag from Sarah Sullivan's hands. The silk scarf flew through the air, landed on the sidewalk outside Riverside Gallery. Sarah, 16, stared in shock. "That's mine! I bought it!" He grabbed her wrist, yanked her off the bench. "Sure you did." She stumbled. Her knee hit pavement. "I have the receipt, please." Shoplifters always say that. Derek twisted her arms behind her back. The handcuffs clicked shut. "You're under arrest." Tears streamed down her face. "My mom is coming right now." "Tell it to the judge." He shoved her toward the police cruiser. White shoppers watched. Nobody helped. Sarah's crime? Sitting outside a store, while black. 2 blocks away, Governor Diane Sullivan's motorcade approached. In 90 seconds, she would see her daughter in handcuffs. Officer Collins would learn what happens when you arrest the governor's child. Have you ever watched injustice unfold and felt completely powerless? 2 hours earlier, the morning had started so differently. Governor Diane Sullivan sat at her desk in the mansion, reviewing a thick stack of documents. Red ink covered every page, sticky notes flagged sections. 3 years of work condensed into one bill, the Police Accountability and Reform Act. Her chief of staff, Elliot Barnes, stood by the window. Gray suit, tired eyes. He'd been working on this bill as long as she had. "Madam Governor, we're 3 votes short." Diane didn't look up from the document. "I know. The opposition is calling you anti-police. They're running ads saying you want to defund law enforcement." "They're lying." Diane signed a page, moved to the next. "Body cameras aren't radical. De-escalation training isn't radical. Holding officers accountable when they abuse their power isn't radical. It's basic human decency." Elliot nodded. He'd heard this speech before, believed every word. "The vote is Thursday. We need to change 3 minds in 4 days. Then we change them." Diane set down her pen, rubbed her eyes. "What's my schedule today?" "Store owners roundtable at 1 p.m. Riverside District. They're nervous about the looting provisions in the bill." "Good. I'll address their concerns." Diane checked her phone. A text from Sarah lit up the screen. "Shopping with you at noon? Can't wait." Diane smiled. First genuine smile of the morning. She typed back quickly. "See you at Riverside Gallery at 12:30. Love you, sweetheart." Sarah, her daughter, her heart. 16 years old and already accepted to Harvard. Full scholarship. Debate team captain, volunteer coordinator at 3 nonprofits. The kind of daughter any mother would be proud of. Diane looked at the framed photo on her desk. Sarah in her cap and gown. Beaming. That Harvard acceptance letter clutched in her hands like a trophy. "We haven't had a proper shopping day in months," Diane said to Elliot. "She leaves for college in 3 months. I want to make this count." "You're a good mother, Governor." "I try to be." Diane stood, stretched. "After I shop with Sarah, I'll head straight to the round table. Should work perfectly." What Diane didn't know, this shopping trip would change everything. Across the city, Sarah arrived at Riverside Gallery 15 minutes early. She loved being early, loved having time to browse without rushing. This boutique was her favorite. High ceilings, marble floors, crystal chandeliers, the kind of place where even the air felt expensive. She wandered through the aisles, ran her fingers over silk blouses, cashmere sweaters, designer scarves. One scarf caught her eye, deep blue with gold threading. Intricate pattern. Beautiful. She checked the price tag. $400. Worth it. She was about to graduate from Prestonwood Academy, about to start at Harvard. This scarf felt like a symbol, a marker of how far she'd come. Sarah picked it up, headed to the counter. That's when she noticed the store manager watching her. Jennifer Walsh, mid-30s, blonde hair pulled back tight, expensive suit, nervous energy. Jennifer had been watching Sarah since she walked in, following her through the aisles, hovering near the exits. Sarah tried to ignore it. She'd felt this kind of attention her whole life, the extra scrutiny, the assumption that she didn't belong. She placed the scarf on the counter, pulled out her credit card. Jennifer processed the payment without making eye contact, barely spoke. "Have a nice day," Jennifer said. Clipped, cold. "Thank you." Sarah took her bag and walked outside. The outdoor bench was empty. Perfect spot to wait for her mom. Sarah sat down, pulled out her phone, texted her mother. "Got here early, bought the most beautiful scarf, sitting outside. See you in 30 min." Her mother replied instantly. "On my way, baby. Traffic is light. Might be early." Sarah smiled, posted to Instagram, added a location tag, put in her earbuds. Classical music played softly. This was nice. Peaceful. She didn't see the police cruiser across the street. Officer Derek Collins sat behind the wheel, scanning the sidewalk like a predator watching prey. His partner, Amber Hayes, sat in the passenger seat, reviewing reports on her tablet. Derek spotted Sarah, his jaw clenched. "Look at that." Amber glanced up. "What?" "That girl, expensive bags, high-end store, no adult around." Amber looked at Sarah, saw a teenager on a bench, scrolling her phone, doing nothing wrong. "Derek, she's just sitting there." "Exactly. Sitting there after stealing. Classic tactic. Blend in, look innocent, wait for the coast to clear." "You don't know that she stole anything." "I know the profile." Derek's voice hardened. "Young, black, designer bags, white neighborhood, doesn't add up." Amber felt uncomfortable. This wasn't the first time Derek had said things like this. Wasn't the first time he'd made assumptions based on race. "Maybe she actually shopped there," Amber said carefully. Derek ignored her, started the cruiser, pulled into a parking spot near the bench. "Sullivan's reform bill passes, people like her will run this city. Someone needs to send a message." "What message?" "That we're still in charge." Derek opened his door. His body cam activated automatically. Department policy since last year's lawsuit. Amber followed, stomach knotted with dread. 5 minutes away, Governor Sullivan's motorcade moved smoothly through downtown. 3 black SUVs, state police drivers, security detail. Diane sat in the back seat with Elliot, reviewing notes for her afternoon meeting. "Sarah found a scarf she loves," Diane said, looking at her phone. "She has her father's taste, expensive and elegant." Elliot smiled. "Like mother, like daughter." "I just want to see her happy." "She works so hard, straight A's, leadership positions, community service. She deserves nice things." Agent Silva, Diane's driver, navigated expertly through traffic. Latina, 38 years old, former military, the best driver in the state police. "ETA 3 minutes, Governor," Silva said. 3 minutes. That's all the time left before everything changed. Derek approached Sarah's bench, hand resting on his weapon, not drawn, just resting there. A silent threat. Sarah looked up, removed her earbuds. "Ma'am, stand up." Confusion crossed her face. "Me? Is something wrong?" "Where did you get that bag?" Sarah pointed at the store. "Right there, Riverside Gallery. I have the receipt." "Don't move. Hands where I can see them." Fear crept into Sarah's voice. "Officer, I just bought—" "How old are you?" 16. My mother is on her way. She'll be here any minute." Derek's eyes narrowed. "So you're alone, with expensive merchandise. No supervision." A crowd began forming. White shoppers slowed, watched, whispered. "I'm not alone. My mother is coming right now. I can show you the texts. Let me see your receipt." Sarah reached for her shopping bag. That's when Derek grabbed her wrist. And that's when the hook scene happened. The accusation, the handcuffs, the humiliation. 2 blocks away, the governor's motorcade turned onto Riverside Avenue. Diane checked her watch. Right on time. She had no idea her daughter was in handcuffs. She had no idea everything was about to explode. Derek pushed Sarah toward his cruiser. She stumbled in her school uniform. Handcuffs bit into her wrists. Tears blurred her vision. "Please wait," she begged. "My mom is almost here. Just 2 minutes." "Save it for booking." Derek's voice was flat, empty of compassion. Officer Amber Hayes stood 3 feet away, hand hovering near her radio. Everything about this felt wrong. Sarah wasn't resisting, wasn't aggressive, wasn't doing anything except crying and asking for her mother. "Derek," Amber said quietly, "maybe we should wait. If her mother really is coming." "Good." Derek opened the cruiser door. "Let the governor see her daughter isn't above the law." "The governor?" "Sarah Sullivan, daughter of Governor Diane Sullivan, the woman trying to destroy our department with her reform bill." Amber's stomach dropped. "You knew who she was?" "Of course I knew." Derek began guiding Sarah's head down toward the back seat. Time to teach the governor a lesson about consequences. That's when the black SUV appeared. 3 vehicles, moving fast, emergency lights flashing. The lead SUV pulled directly in front of the boutique. Tires screeched. Derek looked up. The door flew open. Governor Diane Sullivan stepped out. Phone in hand, smile on her face, looking forward to surprising her daughter by arriving early. Then she saw the crowd, the police lights, her daughter, in handcuffs, being pushed into a police car. Time froze. Diane's smile vanished. Her face went through 3 emotions in 2 seconds: confusion, horror, pure rage. "What?" The word barely formed. Agent Silva was already on the radio. "Situation. Governor's daughter in custody, requesting immediate supervisor response." Elliot jumped from the second vehicle, saw Sarah, saw the handcuffs. "Oh my God." But Diane was already moving, running, heels clicking on pavement like gunshots. "Stop! Get your hands off her right now!" Her voice cut through the crowd like a blade. People scattered, made way. Derek turned, saw the governor of the state sprinting toward him. His face went pale. Sarah saw her mother. "Mom! Mom, I didn't do anything!" Diane reached them in seconds, positioned herself between Derek and the cruiser, eyes locked on the handcuffs cutting into her daughter's wrists. "I'm Governor Diane Sullivan." Her voice shook with controlled fury. "That's my daughter. Take those handcuffs off her. Now." Derek recovered quickly, straightened, put on his professional mask. "Governor Sullivan, your daughter is under arrest for shoplifting and resisting arrest." "Shoplifting?" Diane's voice rose. "She texted me 20 minutes ago that she bought a scarf. She was waiting for me. We had plans." "That's what she claims. But the evidence—" "What evidence? Show me the evidence." Derek gestured at Sarah. She was loitering outside a high-end store with expensive merchandise, no adult supervision, suspicious behavior. "She's 16 years old." Diane stepped closer. "She doesn't need supervision. And she wasn't loitering. She was waiting for me, her mother, the governor of this state." The crowd was growing. More people stopped, pulled out phones, started recording. A woman near the front spoke up. "He arrested her for waiting for her mom?" Murmurs spread through the crowd, angry, disturbed. Derek's jaw tightened. "Governor, with all due respect, your position doesn't exempt your daughter from the law. And your badge doesn't give you the right to racially profile and arrest innocent children." Elliot pushed forward, tablet in hand. "Officer, we have time-stamped text messages between the governor and her daughter. Plans to meet here at 12:30. Her daughter arrived early. Texted photos of her purchase with receipt at 12:05 p.m. Derek barely glanced at the tablet. Text messages can be fabricated. The crowd gasped. Diane's eyes widened. Are you calling me a liar? I'm saying I observed suspicious behavior. I followed protocol. I made an arrest based on probable cause. Sitting on a bench is probable cause? Jennifer Walsh burst out of the store, saw the governor. Panic flooded her features. Governor Sullivan, I had no idea. Diane spun to face her. You're the store manager? Yes, ma'am. Jennifer Walsh. Did my daughter steal from your store? Jennifer's voice shook. No, she purchased a silk scarf. I processed the transaction myself. Credit card, full payment, receipt in the bag. Diane turned slowly back to Derek. The store manager confirms my daughter paid. The receipt confirms payment. Text messages confirm she was waiting for me. Explain your probable cause. Derek hesitated. That's when Officer Amber Hayes made a choice. She stepped forward, voice quiet but clear. Ma'am, we didn't receive any calls about shoplifting. Officer Collins initiated contact on his own. The crowd erupted. Derek's face flushed red. He glared at Amber with pure hatred. Diane's voice dropped to a whisper, deadly, dangerous. So, there was no call, no complaint from the store, no crime. You just saw a black teenager and decided she was a criminal. Derek said nothing. You profiled my daughter. You humiliated her. You violated her constitutional rights. In front of dozens of witnesses. Still silence. Take the handcuffs off my daughter. Now. Agent Silva approached quickly. Governor, Officer Hayes' body cam was recording the entire interaction. Under the Public Records Act, we can request immediate access. Diane didn't take her eyes off Derek. Your body cam. Show me the footage, right now. That's not standard. I don't care about standard procedure. Diane's voice could freeze fire. You violated my daughter's rights. You'll show me that footage, or I'll have every news station in this state requesting it within the hour. Choose. Amber stepped beside Derek. We have to comply. Derek's hand trembled as he accessed the body cam footage on his shoulder unit. The small screen lit up. The crowd pressed closer, dozens of eyes watching. The footage began playing. Timestamp 12:18 p.m. Derek's voice on the recording. Look at that. Expensive bags. High-end store. No adult around. Amber's voice. Derek, she's just sitting there. Derek. Sitting there after stealing. Classic tactic. The crowd muttered. Uncomfortable. Angry. Timestamp 12:19 p.m. Amber. Maybe she actually shopped there? Derek. I know the profile. Young, black, designer bags, white neighborhood. Doesn't add up. More murmurs. Louder now. Timestamp 12:20 p.m. Derek approaching Sarah, hand already on his weapon, before any interaction, before any conversation. A woman in the crowd spoke loudly. He had his hand on his gun before he even talked to her. Timestamp 12:21 p.m. Sarah's voice, small and frightened. I have the receipt. Derek cutting her off. Don't move. Timestamp 12:22 p.m. Sarah. My mother is coming right now. Derek ignoring her completely, reaching for handcuffs. Timestamp 12:23 p.m. The moment that made the crowd gasp out loud. Derek. Sullivan, as in Governor Sullivan. Pause. Then, rich black girls don't shop here, they steal here. The crowd exploded. He knew who she was. He arrested her because of who she is. This was deliberate. This is retaliation. Diane's hands were shaking. Her voice vibrated with barely contained rage. You knew she was my daughter. You knew she had receipts. You knew she was waiting for me, and you arrested her anyway. You did this to punish me through her. Derek's professional mask cracked. Red crept up his neck, into his face. Your reform bill treats every officer like a criminal. Body cameras tracking our every move. Review boards questioning our every decision. Training sessions telling us we're all racists. I want accountability. Diane cut him off. I want officers who don't see black children sitting on benches as threats. I see people breaking the law. I don't care who their parents are. My daughter didn't break the law. She bought a scarf and waited for her mother. That's all she did. She fit a profile. She fit your racist profile. The words hung in the air, heavy, damning. Derek's face contorted. I've been a cop for 15 years. I know. You know nothing except how to abuse your power. Sergeant Rachel Morrison arrived, 25-year veteran, gray hair pulled back, face lined with decades of dealing with situations exactly like this. Governor Sullivan, I'm Sergeant Morrison. I apologize for... Your apology means nothing while my daughter is still in handcuffs. Diane's voice was steel. Remove them, now! Rachel turned to Derek. Collins, uncuff her. Sergeant, she's under arrest. I have probable... You have nothing. She's a minor with proof of purchase waiting for her parent who has now arrived. There is no crime here. Rachel's voice hardened. Uncuff her immediately or I'll do it myself and add insubordination to your growing list of problems. Derek's hands shook as he removed the handcuffs. The moment Sarah's wrists were free, she collapsed into her mother's arms. Diane held her tight, stroked her hair, whispered words only Sarah could hear. I'm here. I've got you. You're safe now. Sarah sobbed against her mother's shoulder. He said I don't belong here. He said black girls like me always steal. He was wrong. You belong everywhere. Everywhere. The crowd watched in silence. Some people were crying. Then Jennifer Walsh stepped forward, pale, shaking. Governor Sullivan, I need to tell you something. Diane looked up, still holding Sarah. What? Jennifer's voice cracked. Officer Collins called me this morning, around 11, before the store opened. The crowd went completely silent. He asked if we'd had any shoplifting problems. I said no. We haven't. Then he asked me to watch for suspicious customers. Diane's grip on Sarah tightened. He described them. Young, black, well-dressed. He said they're professionals, that they target high-end stores, that they blend in. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I let him put that idea in my head. When your daughter walked in, I watched her differently than I watch white customers. I followed her. I doubted her. And when Officer Collins showed up, I couldn't give him a clear answer about her purchase because I'd already convinced myself she was suspicious. Sarah pulled away from her mother, looked at Jennifer. You followed me because I'm black. Yes. Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. And there's no excuse. None. I'm so sorry. Diane stood, faced Jennifer directly. Ms. Walsh, acknowledging bias is just the first step. What will you do to fix it? I'm implementing mandatory bias training for every employee. I'm partnering with the NAACP to create accountability measures. I'm posting a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination. Jennifer wiped her eyes. And I'm apologizing personally to every black customer I've made feel unwelcome in my store. That's a start. But Sarah doesn't owe you forgiveness. I know. Jennifer looked at Sarah. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know the truth. Sarah said nothing, just stared. Agent Silva approached again, phone in hand. Governor, Chief Brennan is calling. Diane took the phone, put it on speaker, held it up so everyone could hear. Chief Brennan. The police chief's voice was strained, anxious. Governor Sullivan, I'm sending Deputy Chief Martinez to the scene immediately. Officer Collins will be placed on administrative leave. Not good enough. Governor, I want him suspended, badge and weapon, today, right now. I need to follow procedure. Your officer didn't follow procedure. Diane's voice rose, every word sharp, clear. He violated the Fourth Amendment. He racially profiled my daughter. He arrested her to retaliate against me politically. That's not procedure. That's abuse of power. Silence on the line. Deputy Chief Martinez will be there in 5 minutes, Brennan finally said. Collins will be suspended pending investigation. Make sure he is. Diane ended the call. 3 news vans screeched to a stop. Reporters jumped out. Cameras appeared. Amanda Taylor, a reporter Diane recognized from press conferences, pushed through the crowd. Governor Sullivan, can you comment on what happened here? Diane turned to face the camera. This moment would be broadcast across the state, maybe the country. She needed to make it count. My daughter, Sarah Sullivan, was falsely arrested today by Officer Derek Collins of the Riverside District Police Department. She committed no crime. She was sitting on a bench, waiting for me, after legally purchasing merchandise from this store. Officer Collins arrested her for one reason, because she's black, because he decided she didn't belong in this neighborhood, and because her mother is fighting for police accountability. Amanda turned to Derek. Officer Collins, do you have a response? Derek's jaw was locked. No comment. Amanda looked back at Diane. How will this affect the police reform bill? It proves why we need the bill. Diane's voice rang out strong. This isn't political theater. This is real. This happens to black families every single day. My daughter was lucky. She had me. She had witnesses. She had cameras. Most families don't. That's what has to change. A black woman pushed through the crowd, mid-40s, holding her teenage son's hand, tears streaming down her face. Governor Sullivan. Diane turned. The woman's voice broke. My son, last year, same officer, same store. They said he stole headphones. He had the receipt. They arrested him anyway. Kept him overnight. No witnesses, no cameras, no governor mother. She sobbed. Thank you. Thank you for fighting. Diane pulled her into a hug, held her while she cried. The crowd began chanting, quietly at first, then louder. Justice for Sarah, justice for all. The chant spread, grew. Dozens of voices. Justice for Sarah, justice for all. Deputy Chief Martinez arrived. Large man, Latino, serious expression. 2 senior officers flanked him. He walked straight to Diane. Governor Sullivan, Deputy Chief Martinez, on behalf of the department, I sincerely apologize for what happened today. Apologies don't erase trauma, Deputy Chief. No, ma'am, they don't. Which is why I'm here to take action. He turned to Derek, voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Officer Derek Collins, you are suspended effective immediately. Badge and weapon, now. Derek's face went white, then red. This is political persecution. This is accountability. Derek's hands shook as he unclipped his badge. The metal gleamed in the afternoon sun. 15 years of service, 15 years of authority, gone in seconds. He handed it to Deputy Chief Martinez, then his service weapon. You think this is over? Derek looked at Diane, pure hatred in his eyes. You just proved that politicians are above the law. Your daughter gets special treatment because of who you are. Diane stepped forward, close enough to see the sweat on his forehead, close enough to smell his anger. No. I proved that nobody should be terrorized by police for sitting on a bench. Not my daughter. Not that woman's son. Not any child. Her voice dropped, became deadly quiet. Your badge didn't make you a hero, Officer Collins. It made you dangerous. You used it as a weapon. Against children. Against families. Against people who looked different than you. She paused. Let the words sink in. You wanted to punish me by hurting my child. You wanted to send a message about power. Well, here's my message. You're done. Your career is over. And every officer who thinks like you needs to understand something. We're watching now. We have cameras. We have voices. And we will not stay silent anymore. Derek had no response. No comeback. Nothing. He turned and walked to his cruiser. The crowd parted. Silent. Watching. Then they erupted in applause. Cheers. Whistles. People shouting, "Justice!" Sarah buried her face in her mother's shoulder again. Elliot approached, tablet in hand, face glowing with excitement. "Governor, the video is already trending. 2 million views in 15 minutes. Hashtag Justice for Sarah is #3 nationwide." The teenage Latina girl who'd been in the crowd earlier stepped forward shyly. "Governor, I posted the whole thing. My TikTok has 4 million views already. Everyone is sharing it." Diane nodded. "Good. The more people see this, the more they'll understand why reform matters." She looked at the camera again, at Amanda Taylor's microphone. "To everyone watching this, to everyone who's experienced this, to every parent who's had to teach their child how to survive a police encounter, I see you, I hear you, and I'm fighting for you." The crowd was still chanting, still loud. "Justice for Sarah. Justice for all." Then something unexpected happened. An elderly white woman emerged from a nearby restaurant. Expensive clothes, pearl necklace, gray hair perfectly styled. She looked like she belonged to country clubs and charity galas. Senator Patricia Holloway, Republican, 62 years old, conservative voting record, one of the 3 undecided votes on Diane's reform bill. The crowd quieted as she approached. "Governor Sullivan." Diane turned, recognized her immediately. "Senator Holloway." Patricia's voice was steady, measured. "I watched what happened from the restaurant window. I saw the entire interaction." Everyone held their breath. "I've opposed your police reform bill for 2 years. I thought it was reactionary. I thought it painted all officers with too broad a brush. I thought it would make our communities less safe." Diane waited, silent. "I was wrong." Gasps from the crowd. Patricia looked at Sarah, really looked at her, saw the red marks on her wrists from the handcuffs, saw the tear-stained face, saw the terror still lingering in her eyes. "I have a granddaughter your age, Madison. She's 16, goes to a private school just like you. And I just realized something." Patricia's voice cracked slightly. "If this had been Madison sitting on that bench, that officer would have smiled and said hello. He would have asked if she needed help. He would have protected her." She paused. "But it wasn't Madison, it was you. And he treated you like a criminal. Not because of anything you did, because of the color of your skin." Sarah stared at her, said nothing. Patricia turned back to Diane. "I'll be voting yes on your reform bill Thursday, and I'll be encouraging my colleagues to do the same." The crowd erupted again, louder this time. Elliot's jaw dropped. He quickly made notes on his tablet. "Senator, thank you," Diane said quietly. "Don't thank me. I should have understood this years ago." Patricia looked ashamed. "It shouldn't take seeing it happen to make me believe it. But here we are." She walked away. The crowd made space for her. Diane knelt in front of Sarah, took both her hands. "Baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't here sooner. I'm so sorry this happened to you." "Mom," Sarah's voice was hoarse from crying, "you got here exactly when you needed to. If you'd arrived earlier, he might not have shown everyone who he really is. Now they all saw. Now they all know. You're right. You're so smart." "I'm not smart. I'm angry. I'm so angry, Mom." "Good." Diane squeezed her hands. "Hold on to that anger. Let it fuel you. Let it drive you to make changes. Fear keeps you cautious. Anger creates change. Use both. Sarah looked at the crowd, at the cameras, at all the people watching. Mom, can I say something? To them. Diane stood. Always. Sarah rose slowly, straightened her uniform, wiped her eyes, walked toward Amanda Taylor's camera. The crowd went silent. Amanda moved the microphone closer. Sarah's voice was quiet at first, then stronger. My name is Sarah Sullivan. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at Prestonwood Academy. I'm going to Harvard next year. She paused, took a breath. Today I was arrested for sitting on a bench, for waiting for my mother, for being black in a neighborhood where someone decided I didn't belong. The crowd was absolutely still, hanging on every word. I didn't resist arrest. I didn't fight. I didn't argue. I showed him my receipt. I told him my mom was coming. I begged him to wait just 2 more minutes. It didn't matter, because Officer Collins had already decided I was guilty. Not because of anything I did, because of how I look. Sarah's voice grew stronger, more passionate. I'm lucky. My mom is the governor. I had dozens of witnesses. I had cameras recording everything. Most kids who look like me don't have that. They get arrested, they get charged, they get criminal records that follow them forever. For nothing. For nothing. Her voice broke slightly, but she kept going. This has to stop. Not just for me. For every black kid who's been followed in stores. For every black teenager who's been stopped by police for no reason. For every black family who has to teach their children that their skin color makes them a target. Tears streamed down her face, but her voice stayed strong. We deserve better. We deserve to exist without fear. We deserve to sit on benches and shop in stores and walk down streets without being treated like criminals. This has to stop. The crowd exploded. Applause, cheers, people crying. Sarah walked back to her mother, collapsed against her. Diane held her tight, whispered in her ear. I am so proud of you, so incredibly proud. Elliot was frantically typing on his tablet. Governor, that speech already has 3 million views. It's being shared everywhere. News networks are requesting interviews. This is huge. Officer Amber Hayes approached slowly, carefully. She looked nervous. Governor Sullivan? Ms. Sullivan? May I speak with you? Diane nodded. Amber's voice was quiet. I want to apologize. I was there. I saw what Collins was doing. I questioned him, but I didn't stop him. I should have stopped him immediately. Instead, I followed his lead because he was my senior officer, and I was afraid of retaliation. Sarah looked at her. You were afraid? Yes. Afraid of being labeled a troublemaker, afraid of hurting my career, afraid of going against a 15-year veteran. Amber's voice shook. But you were more afraid than I was. You were terrified. And I let that happen because I prioritized my comfort over your safety. That was wrong. What changed? Sarah asked. You did. Your speech. You said this has to stop, and I realized I'm part of the problem if I stay silent. I don't want to be the kind of officer who looks away when injustice happens right in front of me. Sarah studied her face, looking for truth, for sincerity. She found it. Then don't be, Sarah said quietly. You have power. You can change things from inside the system. Use that power. I will. I promise you I will. They didn't shake hands, didn't embrace, but something passed between them. An understanding. A shared commitment. The crowd was beginning to disperse. The immediate crisis was over, But the impact was just beginning. Agent Silva approached. "Governor, we should move to a secure location." "Yes, let's go home." Diane kept her arm around Sarah's shoulders. They walked toward the motorcade. People called out support, encouragement. "Thanks." Before getting in the vehicle, Diane turned back to the cameras one last time. "This isn't over. Not by any measure. Officer Collins was one man in one department. But the system that empowered him still exists. The bias that drove him still exists in departments across this country, and we're going to change it, policy by policy, department by department, until every child in this state can sit on a bench without fear, until every parent can send their child out into the world knowing they'll be treated with dignity, until black lives are valued the same as white lives. That's our commitment. That's our promise." The crowd cheered again. Diane and Sarah got into the SUV. The door closed. The motorcade pulled away. Inside the vehicle, Sarah looked out the window, watching the crowd, the store, the bench where she'd been sitting just 90 minutes ago. "Mom?" "Yes, baby?" "That woman, the one whose son was arrested by the same officer. What happens to families like hers when there's no governor, no cameras, no viral videos?" Diane was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled Sarah closer. "That's exactly why we fight, Sarah. For them. Always for them. Your privilege gave you a platform. Now we use that platform to protect people who don't have one." Sarah nodded, leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. "I'm tired, Mom." "I know, baby. Let's go home." The motorcade drove through downtown, past crowds, past reporters, back toward safety. But for Sarah Sullivan, safety would never feel quite the same again. She'd learned a lesson today that no 16-year-old should have to learn, that her skin color made her a target, that her education and family couldn't protect her, that in America, being black was considered probable cause. It was a lesson she'd carry forever, and it was a lesson that would drive her to change the world. 2 days later, Thursday morning, the state legislature was packed, every seat filled. Standing room only in the gallery. The Police Accountability and Reform Act. Final vote. Governor Diane Sullivan sat in the executive box. Sarah beside her. Both wearing dark suits, professional, serious. The chamber buzzed with tension. 3 years of work came down to this moment. The Speaker of the House stood at the podium. Gray-haired, stern expression. "We now vote on Senate Bill 243, the Police Accountability and Reform Act. The motion requires a simple majority to pass. All in favor?" Diane squeezed Sarah's hand. "Whatever happens, we told the truth. It's going to pass, Mom. I know it will." The electronic board lit up. Names appeared. Votes registered in real time. Green for yes, red for no. The board filled slowly, painfully slowly. Green, green, red. Green, red, red, green. Sarah stopped breathing. The final votes appeared. The board showed yes 54, nays 46. The chamber exploded. Applause, cheers, people crying, hugging. Sarah threw her arms around her mother, both of them sobbing. "We did it," Sarah whispered. "We actually did it." "No, baby, you did it. Your voice, your courage, your speech changed minds. You changed votes." Below them in the gallery, families of police brutality victims embraced each other. Officers in uniform stood quietly. Some looked angry. Others looked thoughtful. Senator Patricia Holloway caught Diane's eye from across the chamber, nodded once, a gesture of respect. Elliot pushed through the crowd, grinning. "Governor, this is historic! The first comprehensive police reform bill to pass in a decade!" But Diane's eyes were on someone else, In the back row, the black mother whose son had been arrested by Derek Collins sat alone, watching, silent tears streaming down her face. This was for her son, for every family who'd suffered without power or voice. Diane made a mental note to reach out to her personally, to make sure her son's case was reviewed, to ensure justice wasn't just for governor's daughters. 3 weeks later, a different room, a hearing room. Clinical. Cold. Officer Derek Collins sat at a table facing a 3-member review board. Diane and Sarah sat in the back row. Witnesses. The board chair, Dr. Victoria Anderson, read from a thick file. Officer Collins, you've been charged with racial profiling, false arrest, violation of departmental policy, abuse of authority, and conduct unbecoming an officer. How do you plead? Derek sat straight, defiant. Not guilty on all charges. I followed my training and used my professional judgment. Board Member 1, a white man. Your body cam footage contradicts that statement. You initiated contact with Ms. Sullivan without probable cause. I had reasonable suspicion based on Board Member 2, a Latina woman. Based on what? Please be specific. Derek hesitated. Based on her presence outside a high-end store with merchandise and no adult supervision. She's 16. The law doesn't require supervision at that age. Try again. Derek's face reddened. She matched a profile. What profile? Dr. Anderson's voice was sharp. Silence. Officer Collins, you stated on your body cam that you knew the profile. Quote, young, black, designer bags, white neighborhood, doesn't add up. Is that correct? Yes, but that's textbook racial profiling. You made assumptions based solely on race. Derek's jaw clenched. I've been a cop for 15 years. I know criminal behavior when I see it. Diane stood. Couldn't stay quiet anymore. You saw a black teenager and assumed criminality. That's not policing. That's prejudice. Derek turned to glare at her. With all due respect, Governor, you're not a police officer. You don't understand. I'm a civil rights attorney. I've sued departments like this one for 3 decades. I know exactly what this is. It's institutional racism hiding behind a badge. The board deliberated for 23 minutes. When they returned, Dr. Anderson's face was grave. Officer Derek Collins, this board finds you guilty on all charges. You are hereby terminated from the Riverside Police Department effective immediately. Your pension is revoked. You are permanently barred from law enforcement in this state. Derek shot to his feet. This is a witch hunt. Political retaliation. This is accountability, Dr. Anderson said calmly. Something you've avoided for 15 years. You have 3 excessive force complaints, 2 settled lawsuits, multiple witness statements of racial bias. This board cannot and will not ignore that pattern of behavior. She paused. Furthermore, the district attorney is reviewing your case for federal civil rights violations. You may face criminal charges. Derek's face went white, then red, then white again. You're dismissed, Mr. Collins. He stormed out. The door slammed. Sarah let out a breath she'd been holding. Is it wrong that I don't feel happy? Just tired? Diane squeezed her hand. That's because you understand something important. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about correction, about preventing future harm. Will it, though? Prevent future harm? Yes, because now there's precedent. Now officers know there are consequences. 1 week later, Officer Amber Hayes stood in Chief Brennan's office. Officer Hayes, your testimony during the Collins investigation demonstrated exceptional integrity and moral courage. We're promoting you to sergeant and assigning you to internal affairs. Amber blinked. Sir? We need more officers like you. Officers who will speak up when they see wrongdoing. Officers who put justice above loyalty to bad cops. Thank you, Chief, but I need to say something. Go ahead. I almost didn't speak up. I almost let Collins get away with it because I was scared of retaliation. I was a coward. But you didn't stay silent. That's what matters. Amber shook her head. It's not enough. I saw what he was doing to that girl, and I questioned him quietly instead of stopping him immediately. Sarah Sullivan deserved better. Every person Collins targeted over 15 years deserved better. What will you do differently? Everything. I'll speak up immediately. I'll challenge bad behavior publicly. I'll put victims' rights before officer comfort. Her voice hardened. If we can't police ourselves, we have no right to police others. Chief Brennan nodded slowly. That's exactly why you're getting this promotion. 3 days later, Amber met Sarah and Diane at a community center. Neutral ground, requested by Amber through official channels. They sat in a quiet room, just the three of them. Ms. Sullivan, Governor, thank you for meeting with me. Sarah nodded, wary. I want to apologize, truly apologize. Not because it's required, because you deserve to hear it. Amber's voice was steady. I saw what Collins was doing. I questioned him, but I didn't stop him. I prioritized my career over your safety. That was unforgivable. So why should I forgive you? Sarah asked quietly. You shouldn't. I don't deserve it. But I'm here to promise you something. I'm in internal affairs now. I have power to investigate complaints, to hold officers accountable. And I'm going to use that power, every day, for every victim. Words are easy, Sarah said. I know. So watch me. Watch my actions. If I fail, call me out. Sarah studied her face, then nodded once. Okay. I'm watching. 4 months later, Jennifer Walsh's boutique looked different. A large sign in the window. All customers are valued here. Discrimination has no place in our store. Inside, every employee wore a small rainbow pin. LGBTQ+ pride, Black Lives Matter pins, symbols of inclusion. Jennifer stood behind the counter reviewing training schedules. Every employee now completed mandatory bias training quarterly. Anonymous feedback forms available at the register. Partnership with the NAACP for quarterly audits. A young black woman entered, mid-20s. Beautiful natural hair, designer purse. She browsed cautiously, watching for signs of surveillance, waiting for the store manager to follow her. Jennifer approached with a genuine smile. Good afternoon. Welcome to Riverside Gallery. I'm Jennifer, the manager. Please let me know if you need anything at all. The woman relaxed slightly. Thank you. Take your time. No pressure. Jennifer stepped back, gave space. The woman browsed for 20 minutes, selected a silk blouse, brought it to the counter. As Jennifer processed the payment, the woman said quietly, I was afraid to come in here, but my friend said you've changed. Jennifer's throat tightened. We're trying. Every day we're trying to be better. It shows. The woman smiled. I'll come back. After she left, Jennifer stood alone, looking at the empty store. She'd lost customers. White customers who complained about the political signs, who didn't want to be lectured about bias. She didn't care. She'd gained something more valuable, self-respect, and the knowledge that she was part of the solution now instead of the problem. It wasn't redemption, not yet, but it was progress. Sarah Sullivan's story isn't unique. It happens every single day in America. Black Americans are arrested 3.5 times more often than white Americans. That's not opinion. That's data. NAACP 2023. 68% of black teenagers report experiencing racial profiling at least once. Pew Research 2024. Police brutality complaints increased 22% between 2020 and 2024. They didn't decrease. They got worse. Department of Justice statistics. But here's what makes Sarah's story different. She had a witness. She had cameras. She had a mother with power who arrived at exactly the right moment. Most black families don't have that. Most families don't have governors for mothers, don't have motorcades, don't have the ability to demand body cam footage on the spot, don't have national news covering their stories. Most families suffer in silence. They file complaints that disappear into bureaucratic black holes. They watch their children develop anxiety around police officers. They have conversations white parents never need to have. The talk. How to survive a police encounter. Hands visible. No sudden movements. Yes, sir. No, sir. Comply even when you're innocent, because survival matters more than pride. That's the real tragedy. Not that Sarah was arrested, but that her story is completely unremarkable in black communities across America. Within 48 hours of Sarah's arrest, the video had 15 million views. 52 states and territories introduced similar police reform legislation within 6 months. Derek Collins's department implemented mandatory de-escalation training. 248 officers nationwide faced discipline for racial profiling in the year following Sarah's arrest. One girl's voice, one mother's power, one moment captured on camera. That created change. And you have that same power, not political power, not wealth, not fame, just the courage to speak up, to record, to share, to refuse to look away when injustice happens in front of you. Here's what you can do right now. Today. This minute. First, speak up. If you witness injustice, say something. Document it safely and legally. Share it responsibly. Your phone is a tool for accountability. Use it. Don't let silence make you complicit. Second, know your rights. The ACLU has free resources. Campaign Zero offers training. Understand what police can legally do. Understand what crosses the line into abuse. Knowledge protects you and others. Third, support reform. Contact your representatives. Demand accountability. Vote for candidates who prioritize justice over politics. Attend city council meetings. Make your voice heard. The system changes when we force it to change. Fourth, examine yourself. Take the Harvard Implicit Bias Test. It's free. It's revealing. We all have biases. Every single one of us. The question isn't whether you have them. It's what you do about them once you recognize them. Fifth, support victims. Donate to organizations fighting police brutality. An ACP Legal Defense Fund. Legal Defense. Campaign Zero. Equal Justice Initiative. Show up at community meetings. Be present. Be loud. Be consistent. Sarah didn't choose to become a symbol of police reform. She chose to buy a graduation scarf and wait for her mother. That's all. But when injustice found her, she didn't stay silent. She used her voice, her platform, her privilege, and she changed the conversation. The next Sarah Sullivan might be your daughter, your sister, your student, your neighbor, your friend's child. Will you have the courage to speak up, to record the truth, to share it even when it's uncomfortable, to show up when it matters most? This story is based on thousands of real experiences. Thousands of black teenagers arrested for existing in spaces where someone decided they don't belong. The names in this story are fictional. The injustice is absolutely real. Right now, somewhere in America, a black teenager is being stopped by police for no reason. Being questioned, being searched, being arrested. For walking while black. For sitting while black. For shopping while black. For existing while black. Will you look away, or will you be the witness that changes everything? Power doesn't just belong to governors and police chiefs. Power belongs to anyone who refuses to accept injustice as normal. Be that person. Show up. Speak up. Stand up. Here's my question for you. Have you or someone you love experienced racial profiling? What will you do the next time you witness injustice happening in front of you? Who are you fighting for? Drop your answer in the comments. Use hashtag #That'sMy and fill in the blank. That's my daughter. That's my son. That's my sister. That's my brother. That's my friend. That's my community. Share this story, not for views, for change, not for likes, for justice, not for subscribers, for the families suffering in silence right now who need to know they're not alone. If this story moved you, if it made you angry, if it made you want to take action, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because stories like this need to be told. They need to be amplified. They need to be heard until every child in America can sit on a bench without fear. Justice isn't a gift we receive, it's a demand we make. Together. Loudly. Constantly. And we don't stop demanding until everyone, regardless of skin color, is safe, seen, valued, and free. From victim to voice. From injustice to impact. From silence to system change. This is what happens when we refuse to look away.